Hello, everyone. How are you tonight? I am so excited for Covet Conversations. Tonight, I am excited. And I want to start off with this song. Leandria Johnson, Deliver Me. There's going to be some deliverance up in here. I need you. Yes. There's going to be some deliverance tonight. And I'm excited about tonight's guest. And tonight's guest is coming very soon. Whew. You know who tonight's guest is. Bishop T.D. Jakes. I chose this song because we're in need of some stuff right now. And I think the perfect person to put the icing on the cake or to tell us about this moment is Bishop T.D. Jakes. So as I am waiting for Bishop Jakes to ring my doorbell, his PR people are on, and I'm waiting for him to come on. And this is Bishop Jakes' first time. So coming on live, IG Live. Let's see if this is him. Let me see. No, that's not him yet. But we're waiting. But guys, in the midst of all of this, we are 7 days out. 7 days until Election Day. Now, mind you, the votes are not going to all be counted until after the Election Day. All the votes are counted after Election Day. So we're not going to get the results that day. But trust and believe we are breaking numbers in early voting. And it's important because we have to remember that we are part of the equation, we the people. We have to remember that. So I'm waiting for Bishop Jakes to come on. I know he's there. They said he was sitting there watching prior to. We just got to get him on. That's all. This is IG Live. So, guys, hold on 1 second. He will be here. So, are you voting? Have you voted? Tell me. Give me your information. Check in, sign in from around everywhere. Have you voted? What's going on? Talk to me. I voted. My daughter voted. We called the Board of Election Supervisors today, and guess what? Lines were so full, haven't got the call back yet. But we are trying to figure this out like everybody else. Everybody's anxious, and we need a word. We need a word today to calm our nerves, because this is a moment in time. This is a moment in time that we've never seen before. Listen, I need you. You voted in Florida. Good. Texas. NBC is now declaring Texas a toss-up, meaning it could go either way. Texas is typically a Republican state. So a red state. This is so interesting. Just voted. Good for you. Philadelphia, PA. Good for you. Fort Worth. Yes. Atlanta, Hotlanta. Good for you. I'm on 10 until this is over. Voted 2 weeks ago. Good for you. DMV voted. Good for you. Bishop T.D. Jakes will be here in a moment. And we are getting, let me, guys, hold on for 1 second. I'm going to figure this one out in a minute, because I think, hold on, guys. Stay tuned. Wait a minute. Let me see. Okay. Hold on, guys. Let me see. I'm going to have to go in and go get the bishop. Sometimes you need an armor bearer to come bring you in. So hold on for a minute. Guys, hold on 1 second. Hold on. Voted in Baltimore. Yes. Hey, Tiffany Gill. I'm glad you voted. Hold on, guys. Hold on. All right, guys. I'm going to get the bishop. Let me see if we got the bishop. There we go. Oh, there we go. I see my bishop. Now let me press it. Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. Let me get the bishop in here. Okay. All right. There we go. I've got the bishop. Now we got to wait for it to come on in. Hold on. There we go. Connect.
Yes, we did it. Okay.
Hallelujah. Now we just got to...
You get these baby boomers on these things.
Oh, I love you. I love you, Bishop Jakes.
There we did it.
You did it. Is this your first IG Live service.
No, but it's easy to get tangled up in there. I was waiting. I think I might have been waiting on a fake page though.
Waiting on a fake page. No, you don't want to wait on a fake page. This is the right one. Bishop, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here.
Oh, you know, you and I have conversations and I just love them. And I love who you are. I love who you've been for us. Give us the word for today, because I've been talking to people and I don't want to claim this word. And I did a couple days ago, but I'm not. Anxiety. What's your word for today?
I don't think that anxiety is inappropriate, but we have to channel it toward action. Action relieves anxiety. Anxiety is what you hold when you feel powerless. But when you have an action that you can take, like getting out to vote, like letting your voice be heard, like getting involved in the process, like being solution oriented, like educating yourself about the various nuances that would make a difference in our day-to-day living. And I think that when we get an election of this much magnitude, it gets our attention. And the stats say 63% of African Americans that are voting are highly motivated to get out and vote. But I don't want us to be so focused on the top line that we don't look down the ticket.
Yeah, down ballot, right?
Yeah, down the ballot, all the way down to district attorneys and prosecuting attorneys and state people, municipal people. Sometimes we vote from the top, but the closer down the ticket, the closer you are to your dinner table, to the things that affect you, to the things that affect your property taxes.
You're making me jump over a pew right now.
you know, we don't think about it like that. We don't, but we should. Your property taxes, your educational system, your school superintendent, all of that has to be considered too, because we're far more affected by local government than we are federal government, though we are affected by all of it. So I'm not saying to leave the federal out. Right. I'm just saying that we have to think about all of it when we go to the ballot box.
Yeah, it's like the headliner at the concert. A lot of us just go for the headliner and don't show up for the number one or number two act. But we got to show up for all of it, because you're right. And when you talk about district attorney, that is so pertinent at this moment. You know, we're dealing with issues of Black Lives Matter, and people, you know, are asking about justice. Well, you're right, district attorney. We're seeing it with Daniel Cameron, and it's not just about Daniel Cameron, but it's about across the board. Right. And it's about us understanding that we are part of that equation that the founding fathers put into effect, that are pillars of this great country, this wonderful country. Let me use that word. This wonderful country. We the people are still forming a more perfect union, even though we're going through growing pains. Right. What are the growing pains that you see that we've been going through? Because you articulate this so well. You serve people. You understand what power means. Power means service. You serve people. What are the growing pains? Please articulate them for us.
Right now, we need great leadership, not just great campaigns. There's a difference between being able to run a great campaign and being able to run the country. I think we suffer for a deficit of great leadership. COVID has been exacerbated for the lack of a strategy that is comprehensive, that is on a federal level, that funds state and municipal principalities with the power that they need to be effective, that funds school teachers with PPE equipment and things like that. We have to get involved with that. We have to look at our police departments and their police unions, and how the qualified immunity reacts and plays out on a local level. That's not a federal decision, unfortunately, until Congress passes laws on a federal level. And that's not something that the president can do. We need Congress to pass some federal laws about qualified immunity, about stipulating how far police unions can go. We need them to protect the police for better wages and better benefits and better equipment. We don't need them to protect police when they become criminal. And I think the other thing that I think is important to be said, and I don't want to propose to speak for all Black people because we're not a monolith, but I do want to say that most Black people are not asking that we be exempt from charges when we're wrong, that we be exonerated from prosecution when we're guilty. We are just asking that we not be tried on the sidewalk.
That we are able to get to the courtroom, not have our justice tried, convicted, and killed on the street. Amen, amen, and amen, church.
Exactly. So what happens when we are tried and convicted on the streets, then the press comes out and starts digging in the trash of the person who's dead to show that they weren't a good person. I don't want that kind of justice. I want the kind of justice that gives me equal representation, that gives me an attorney. And if you're going to disclose all the secrets of the victim, let's disclose all the secrets of the policeman. And that right now, that doesn't exist. So the policeman's records are not made public, but the victim's records are made public.
And that's truth. That's truth. That is truth. That is one of the pieces that's on the table right now. Why people are going in droves to the polls. Have you voted yet, sir?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. My wife and I were stealthy because we don't want to get sick. So we were waiting till the crowd eased up, and we snuck in like Batman and Catwoman, and we're covered up in everything but saran wrap. And went in there and voted, and got out of there, took a picture and posted, and kept on going. I think and let me say this. This goes back to my parents' generation. My mother worked the polls when I was a kid.
Preach.
And I grew up with a culture of understanding that I had been given a benefit and a right to speak up. And I think that we cannot become lethargic and become frustrated and say, I'm not going to participate because I don't. We cannot participate for some of the craziest reasons. But the consequences of not participating is living with somebody else making decisions for you, about you, without you. And so you may not like the choices, but they're the choices we got. And you have to pick between the two choices we have. You can't vote for a hypothetical person that doesn't exist. So you have to vote for those two people. And I hope we don't make the same mistake that we made 4 years ago, is not being involved in the process and then having huge marches afterwards, filling the streets up. Protesting is not as powerful as voting. Now, protesting draws attention. It's important. But protesting after the election about how it didn't turn out right when you didn't vote is frustrating to me, because I think the time we needed you to be out there marching was to the polls, and that's right now.
The lesson was learned. I believe lessons were learned the last 4 years ago. I believe, because so many people, we heard young people talk about, yes, I'm going to withhold my vote and protest. And now look at them. The young people are leading the way. They've realized the mistake that was made. And like you, my parents were not, poll watchers or workers, what have you, but they made it an event when I was a child. And my children were late for school when Barack Obama was running for president, the first and the second time, to see that. I mean, I always took them to the polls, but those 2-hour lines, I wanted to make sure that they understood the significance of it. And we didn't go like Batman and Catwoman, but but what we did, we were stealth in what we did. We made sure we got our ballots. And I put mine in the mail a long time ago. It was received. My daughter didn't get hers, but she went to the Board of Election Supervisors, got her ballot that day, 18 years old. This is her second time voting in this election cycle. This is her second time voting, period. And she went and did that ballot and put it in. I'm here. My phone just fell.
Okay. I've had that happen.
I know, and I'm turning and twisting.
But so, you know something, April? I think there's something really beautiful about it. I'm frustrated that we don't have more places to vote at so that we wouldn't have these long hours to wait to get it done.
How about that?
Yeah, I think that's unnecessary in the 21st century with all the technology and all the things. That's unnecessary. However, I think it's a beautiful thing that everybody's getting out to vote. And I think it's a beautiful thing that everybody has an opinion. And what makes this country beautiful, we have the debates, we have the discussion, and then we make the decision and we live with the consequences of that decision. And I'm glad that people are engaged. I'm glad that they're coming out to vote. We went physically out to vote. I didn't trust the mail. I wanted to be sure. I wanted to be sure that my vote was counted, and in the overabundance of caution. And I recognize both of us are in that high risk area for COVID. So you had to wrestle one danger against the other. But that's how dangerous I think not voting is, that I was willing to take the risk of COVID rather than to take the risk of not voting.
Yeah. I have various underlying issues, and it's real. I've been in the house since March, and I hear you are in the house as well. You guys
Oh,
are in the
yes.
house.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's real. And to take that risk, this is letting people know how serious it is. And people are voting, one, because of COVID. And this might be this president's kryptonite. Nothing ever stuck. He wants to consider himself Superman. This could be the kryptonite. People are impacted. Politics is personal. When it touches you in such a mighty way, it's personal. And I believe that's one of the reasons why there's an issue of trust with this and fear with this, unfortunately. Speak to that, sir, especially as you being who you are in the house.
Yes, well, I think I'm on the front lines, because when you look at nearly 250,000 people dead, we are the people who buried those 250,000 people. So they're not numbers to me. They're not stats to me. They're church members and choir members and partners around the country, and people who I met at book signings, and people who came to my events. And I literally, I hate to admit this, but I literally sat up and cried one day for about 2 or 3 hours when New York was at the height of the pandemic.
Ooh.
I thought about all the book signings I'd done in New York. I thought about the people I met, and I wondered, were they okay? And I wondered, did they survive? And I thought about people's mothers. And for 13 days straight, April, I got phone calls every day from somebody whose loved one had died, screaming on the phone, crying, wrestling with the fact I wasn't even able to hold my mother. I wasn't even able to be with my husband. I wasn't able to be. So all of that is more than news to me. That's an experience I'm living every day, and the trauma of it, and the funerals, and being masked at funerals, and trying to conduct funerals with 10 people and 50 people allowed, and everybody else outside and zooming in, and all of the. I've never seen anything in my life, and I grew up in the 60s. I've never seen anything in my life, and I remember the Pettus Bridge, the Norman Pettus Bridge. I've never seen anything in my life. I remember the horrors of the 3 black girls that were burned to death. I've seen a lot. The Vietnam War, the protesting, the violence of the 60s. But to see what we're going through right now, the combination of an economic conundrum, a medical pandemic of such proportions we've not seen in 100 years, social unrest over issues that we swept up under the carpet until now the carpet's got a lump in it, you can't hide it anymore. All of that hitting and converging at the same time. Not to mention the hurricanes coming in and people being flooded out and people losing their jobs and millions of Americans without any place to stay. We have never had a more important election. And then we have the benefit. I don't tell people how to vote. I don't endorse candidates, but I tell people to vote. And one of the great things about this election is that one of the candidates on the ballot box, we're not just interviewing, we got to see for 4 years. We got to see them. So it's like having somebody work a job for 4 years and then apply. So you know full well what you're stepping into with that candidate. The other candidate, we have seen them in politics, but we've never seen them in power. And so the questioning, the debates, the concerns, no matter where you fall in, what your decision is, it annoys me when people tell me how to vote, because to me it's a form of slavery. One of my rights as an African American is to make up my own mind. I don't need you to tell me who to vote for. I'm a grown man. I'm 63 years old.
Preach.
I'm not a child. You don't tell me what to do anymore. I'm free now.
I'm free.
I'm free.
Oh, freedom, yes.
I'm free. And I can think for myself. And I'm encouraging every American to think for yourself and make the decisions that you can best live with and that your children can best live with.
take the shackles off of me,
Yeah.
basically, you know. And I'm with you on that. And I want to go back to something you said talking about crying. I have been crying. My children are like, "Ma," because I've been crying. They're like, "I've never seen you cry." Going into this, I was like, "Hey, I've been crying like a baby. Today I fell out. I mean,
Yeah.
this thing brings you to your knees. It's a destroyer on every level." And
Yeah.
like you said, the people, I've lost friends I know who passed away from COVID. One, 99 years old, would have been 100 2 months later, you know, if it were not for COVID. Wonderful man. I lost two people that I know. A lot of people I know have been sick. A college classmate of mine who I was like this with. He's talking about, you know, he had it months ago. He's got joint pain. He talks about brain freezes or brain fogs, and we still don't know, you know, the lasting effects of
Right.
this.
Right.
And
Right.
it's not a joke. It's not like, oh, don't worry about it. This is devastating our community.
No, it's devastating America. I realize that Black and brown people are more apt to die from it, more apt to have long-term maladies from it, more apt to reap the consequences of poor medical conditions that existed in our community pre-COVID-19. I realize why African Americans need to be alarmed, and that we can't always take our cues from white Americans or white Christians who are not as vulnerable medically to the disease.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot play this out of somebody else's playbook, because we are more susceptible, like women are more susceptible to breast cancer.
Yes.
When you know you're more susceptible, you have to be more careful and move with the abundance of caution. I realize all of that, but I want to get to something that you alluded to a minute ago, because I think this is really important. For everyone who's listening at us right now, there is not a person in America, no matter who you're going to vote for, who is not experiencing some level of trauma from the chaos that we have seen play out in America. Whether it is stacks of dead bodies to the point that bodies were being stacked up in hotels, whether it is people who are working 18-hour shifts in hospitals trying to take care of people who can't see their loved ones and their children, whether it is police officers who are being infected by the virus or protesters, no matter what side of it you're on, you're traumatized. And after the election, at least 50% of the country is going to be further traumatized by the decision. When you take that external trauma and you add it to the internal trauma of your family trauma, your family life, your personal life, your personal health issues, what's going on with you at this stage and age and experience you're having, and all of that is pounced on you in this year, our mental health is something we have to take real good care. Yeah, that's what
I
I'm
have
talking
a
about.
box of tissues in every room. This thing, I'm telling you, you know, we sit up here and we're on TV, put on the makeup, got it straight, look good, you
Right.
know, casket clean. But you know what? When you get off, everyone has a story. And we
Yeah.
don't know everyone's story. And let me tell you something, all of us are crying. And
Yeah.
all of us are affected. You know,
Yes.
some people, I know friends who don't have a job. I know
Right.
friends who are sick or taking care of their parents, you know, and their children and their adult children and their parents at the same time. Well, they're trying to keep it together. People are hurting. This is a moment of hurt, and we have got to love one another. We got to lift up one another, Pastor Bishop. I'm telling you, I want my friends to call me a little bit more, because I'm telling you, this is a tough one.
I have reached out to people I don't normally reach out to. I have reached out to people that are unlikely to be reached out to. And I have reached out to people from low regimes to high regimes, because this disease is not prejudice. It doesn't care how much money you make. It doesn't care how many schools you went to. It doesn't care about anything. Without a Democrat or Republican, it is striking without discrimination. And I think that we have to do that. Somebody asked me from a theological perspective, they said this is the end time. That may be true. That very well may be true. It certainly looks like it in a whole lot of ways. But I think that we ought to live as if Christ were coming back tomorrow, but we ought to work as if he's not. So, so you can't I've seen us throughout history go to the mountaintops and wait on Jesus to catch you away on the cloud and then have to come back down. The Bible said no man knoweth the day nor the hour. It does look like the end time. We ought to be as committed as we can to our faith, whatever our belief system is. Preferably, I'm a Christian, so I think from a Christian perspective that we ought to be getting ready for his return. But just because I'm getting ready for his return doesn't mean I'll not be getting ready for my kids' college. Just because I'm getting ready for his return doesn't mean that I shouldn't be trying to get a 700% credit score. Just because I believe it's his return doesn't mean that I ought not be thinking about retirement. If he comes and I don't get the retirement, they can have the money. But if he doesn't come, I gotta have a strategy that encompasses both things, because his actual return is not. We are not privy to that information. So to those of my spiritual brothers and sisters who are out there listening, and they totally see it from a theological perspective, that's wonderful. But at the end of your theology, there's practicality. Jesus paid taxes. He said, give unto Caesar what is Caesar's and give unto God what it is. So we don't have to choose. You can do both. You can engage in the system and have your belief system at the same time. And your belief system and your experience of faith cannot be forced on you by other people to tell you which scripture is the priority amongst all the many sins that are listed out there and all the many evils that we're seeing. The other thing that I want to say, completely off topic, but I just want to get it in. I don't know when you're going to cut me off, so we're not on CNN, so we can talk a while. But the other good thing that I think is happening as a Black person is that Republicans are discovering that Black people can be had, and Democrats are having to discover that they can't take us for granted. And I think that's a win on both sides, because that makes both parties have to scuffle to address issues that either they played us on and didn't handle at all, or they ignored us because they thought they couldn't get us.
We've been played, we've been bamboozled and hoodwinked, okay? And I want to come back, I want to put a pin there because I want to go back to something. I cannot let this go because I want to clear up this end time thing. I'm with you on the end time thing, but the end, like you said, the end time, we could be in the end of days, but the end of days could be 1,000, 2,000 years from now. That's right. This could be a marker of the beginning of the end, which could be 2,000 years from now. So we still have to live, but still understand we need to follow the law and the laws of up above, but still live like Bishop said. So I'm with you because I wanted to clear that up because I didn't want people thinking, oh, he said the end time and this happening tomorrow. I got to get my credit score, but it's going to happen tomorrow. No, this could be, this could be the beginning of the end time that can happen 50, 20, 20,000 years, but this could be a marker for the beginning of the end time. It could be years from now. So I'm with you. I understand. But Bishop, people are also saying this moment reminds us of Exodus. We've got the killer bees. We've got a virus. We've got Bishop Paul S. Morton said to me, he said, when leadership is off, you see these things. And I said, wow. So you're saying the end times. What do you think about the Exodus? About it mirrors the Exodus.
I think it mirrors the Exodus in a whole lot of ways. And I don't know whether we so much need to geographically mirror the Exodus, but I think that we need to exit from herd mentalities.
Woo! Preach! Not herd immunity, herd mentality. Yes!
Herd mentalities. Herd mentalities. Where you have independence of thought. I might think differently about a situation at 63 than my son does at 23.
That's right.
Okay, because he has different issues to think about than I do at 63.
And he hasn't lived life yet.
And he hasn't lived life fully. And he hasn't seen the things. And then he has a different concern because he's trying to buy a house. I'm getting to the age that I have to think about where I'm going to land at. So the fact that we're both Black and have the same DNA doesn't mean that we have the same issues to consider in our conversation. And the problem with us, not just Blacks, whites, Americans, Democrats, Republicans, we have herd mentality. Herd mentality destroys individual thought. And you have to be able to think from the perspective of what is going to be best for your house. As for me and my house. you know,
Yes.
and not let anybody intimidate you, because my house is not your house, and my problems are not your problems, and my health maladies are not your malady. And even though we're in the same country, and this is an amazing country, I love this country, in spite of sometimes it didn't always love me back. Having said that, even though we're in the same country, we are not having the same experience. And this is something that America is grappling with, because many innocent Americans assume that if you're in this country and I'm in this country, we're both having the same experience. We're not having the same experience. If you're a minority, we're not having the same experience. Black people are not having the same experience that Spanish-speaking people are having. Spanish people are not having the same experience that Jewish people are having. Jewish people are not having the same experiences that white Americans are having. So we all bring a unique experience, even though we might be in the same city, state, or country. And the fact that we criticize doesn't mean we don't love. My wife criticizes me, but she loves me. I criticize her when she's not around. But but I think that marriage is a good example of forming a more perfect union. You have to resolve conflicts. You have to work with somebody who thinks differently than you. You have to love over your differences, and it makes you have to grow up in a lot of ways. And I think that people today don't want to grow up.
So that's a good point. A lot of, and I'm going to go back again to this dealing with the parties taking us for granted or bamboozling and hoodwinking us. Hold on, but let's talk about that. I have seen more breakups in COVID, and I'm one of them. During COVID, what is that? I mean, a lot of people are hurting over that.
I'm saying it. If COVID is a pandemic, divorce is an epidemic. It is really, really bad right now. But you have to understand, we've lost our normal. What caused our marriages to work was our marriages were calibrated around systems that don't exist. Some people stayed together because they didn't spend 24 hours together. And then you spent 24 hours with that person for 3 months. And all of a sudden, what was a minute issue now becomes amplified, and marriages are exploding. And then there was no ventilation with other relationships to subsidize those relationships, to irrigate those relationships. And those relationships are exploding like popcorn in the heat of all of this. Child abuse is up. Domestic violence is up. Suicide is up. We have things to really be concerned about that are happening under the surface, under the pressure of pandemic. You take people who have lost their jobs and they've been evicted out of their homes. The leading cause of divorce is not infidelity, it's financial trauma. And we're in financial trauma. So yes, marriages are going to implode, whether they are people of faith or not. We have to have enough grace to embrace people, regardless to their point of view and their perspective, that they're still human. And they're going to have problems. And we got to work real hard to help them through that process. But I'm seeing it happening down here in Texas, too.
My prayer is that after the explosion of anger, that there is a settling of, wait a minute, this happened because of this. I'm praying that a lot of these marriages, a lot of these relationships can heal back together. Because like you said, people are in situations and on top of each other like they've never been before.
Right.
We are not people, we're not supposed to be isolating like this. This is not who we are.
No.
We love, we leave, we love, we leave. You know, we travel, we do things, we work and come back. But to have it all in one, it's like, ooh, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And then all the added pressure, like you said. But my prayer is that people can breathe once they're away and say, wait a minute, cooler heads prevail. You know what I'm saying? I just pray. I'm praying for everyone. So now
let me interject just a quick word. There is some, I noticed years ago, I did some research on families whose kids were developed cancer, or they went through some sort of horrible traumatic event, and they survived it and they get past it and then they divorce. And I thought, you made it past and everything's better now. Why are you divorcing? And the term is called compassion fatigue. It's where you overspent to get through the crisis and you don't have anything left to give.
Wow.
And I think one of the things that's happening in our country, we have compassion fatigue. Look at the images that we've seen. Look at George Floyd under that knee. Look at all of the emotions we've seen, the anger, the frustration, the confusion, the pandemics, the deaths, the loss of jobs, the loss of houses. And depending on what time you are in your life, you might not be able to rebuild that back again. Here's the worst loss, April, the loss of normalcy.
Woo, yes.
The loss of normal. Our equilibrium is thrown off. Where is normal? What's normal?
We don't know
How
what
can I
normal
get
is
back to
anymore.
normal? Our whole equilibrium has been thrown off.
Yeah,
And
that's not a word.
that creates a vulnerability and an uncertainty where you are not sure where stable is. It's not in government. You
It's
know,
not.
do we send the kids to school? Do we keep them at home? If I send them to school, I'm scared to death. If I don't send them to school, I'm feeling guilty. Now I'm trying to do trigonometry. Okay, and I'm going to homeschool. So we've got all of these. The loss of normalcy is traumatic, and I think a lot of people need to understand and not feel bad or not think that you are weak because you're crying, or not think that there's something wrong with your faith because you're in tears. The loss of normalcy destabilizes the human spirit. And I did this book recently, When Women Pray. And the reason I released it at this time is because prayer helps to stabilize a destabilized situation.
Yes,
it gives you something that's solid, sure, a belief system to believe in. And that is not critiqued in the press, that is not written about in blog sites, that is not built on humanity, because humans are going to be human. Prayer ties you into the divine and gives you some place where you can express yourself and not be judged. And so I did When Women Pray, because often it is the woman that holds the home together.
That's right.
And so she's trying to hold the relationships together. Even if she's married, she keeps the father attached to the kids. She keeps the kids attached to the father. She explains one to the other. She goes scenes about grandmother. She works a job. She brings in the bacon. She fries it up. She does a whole lot of stuff. Women are up under more pressure than they've ever been before. Grandma just had to make sure the biscuits didn't burn. You got to make sure that you make it to the boardroom and you get back in time to make it to the child's rehearsal, and you got to make sure the biscuits don't burn. You are the first generation of women that had so much on your plate at the same time and so little ways to ventilate. The spa was closed. The beauty parlors were closed. The outlets were closed. You couldn't hook up with your girlfriends. You couldn't get away. So you're imploded. Let's add menopause in there. Let's talk about midlife crisis. Let's go. Come on. Let's talk about slide and swipe dating, and let's talk about porn on your phone, pornography on your phone. The dynamics of holding a relationship together now are more intense than they've ever been before. And a lot of people are feeling bad about feeling bad. And I want to say, it's okay to cry. It's okay to be frustrated. Your normal has been shaken. You've been weaned. But in the process of being weaned from normalcy, the only thing that I have to offer right now is God. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure about anything. The churches are closed.
Ooh, yes.
But there's a difference between
responsible churches. I believe responsible churches are closed. I believe, they have a few people there and doing service. Responsible churches are closed.
Yes. We're close. Let me say
responsible
that.
Churches.
Protestants are closed. Yeah. And this is the thing. Even the ones that are trying to open can't open at full capacity. So
they're trying.
So you're in. Are you the in crowd or the out crowd? Or did you get in this week or did you not get in this week? And did you get to vote or can you get to vote? Can you make it to work? You just got a new job and now you can't get off to vote. We've got the loss, the destabilization is critical. Spirituality is important. Exercise is important. Anything that gets the stress off of you is important. If you don't get but 20 minutes where you sanctify yourself away from everything and take a hot bubble bath, if you don't get but 30 minutes of me time, this is a time that you need to be good to you without feeling bad about being good to you, because you might not have anybody else to be good to you.
That's right.
But you.
That's
Self-care.
So, you know, and you're right. I believe vulnerability is is strength. It's not weakness. A friend of mine came over here crying a couple of months ago, and I saw his strength, and I was like, I've never seen you like that. And just poured his heart. I was like, wow, it amazed me. And I wish that I could see more of that in more people instead of being like, I'm hard. No, this thing will cripple you. And I'm gonna say this, and I'm testifying right now. You know, you talk about self-care, the spa. I don't want to go to the spa. I don't want to put a mask on and have the spa attendant, the therapist, have
The
a mask on
classic.
and rub it on me. No, you know what I did? I went in my kitchen. I said, okay, how do I make a scrub? I went in my shower and I pulled out all my poo things. I said, this is the spa of April. So I
Right.
mean, and it felt good. I said, I can do it. It's
Yeah.
the creativity, going in there saying that you reached something that you didn't think you could reach before. So that's good. But now let's go to this piece. Being hoodwinked and bamboozled and then taken for granted and all of that. The black vote. We are saying, why is it? And I'm asking everyone, I want someone to give us a study as to why Black men are supposedly in double digits going for President Trump when Black women are running to the Democrat. Somebody needs to tell me. It's like last time Cornell Belcher, a brilliant corner, said it was 13%. I need somebody to explain to me, when you have Black men dying on the streets, like we're saying, with policing, bad policing, and we support police, but we want to weed out all that badness, police brutality, deadly police brutality. When you have an administration that supports police and not civil rights, and they talk about the tax breaks go to the people who own jets, not to the poor folks. I'm like, come on, brothers, help me understand. I'm trying to find out the psychology in this. Why? Bishop, can you tell me?
I'm going to make a guess. I haven't done any research. I'm not justifying it. I'm just going to make a guess. Number one, if you looked at the GOP's television production, there were rows of Black men up front. Okay, that's part of it. I think part of it is the whole attempt at some reform with criminal justice, because Black men have disproportionately been victimized by criminal justice. Is Black men don't feel wanted by anybody, and for anybody to say we want you draws attention. Black men are in a crisis that Black women can't relate to, because Black women are making more money. They're getting the jobs. They're getting elected. They're going into the position. And sometimes they're not noticing that Black men are committing suicide. Black men are drinking themselves to death. Black men are going into crisis, mental health issues. Nobody's saying we want you. Everybody's saying, let me show you how strong I am and how I can do without you. I'm so strong, I don't need a man. That is the word of the hour. And this is just my supposition. I've done no research. But my church is 50% men, and I do know where men are.
And you know what? And that's major that you have 50% men, because women typically are the dominant numbers in the Black church.
But my church is 50% men. So I do have a fairly good pulse beat. Nobody's talking to Black men. Black men generally don't have fathers. Nobody's talking to Black men. And for anybody to say to Black men, we want you, or we care about your history, expunge your records, do with that, I think there's a peel away there. Rather than to criticize the Black men, I think the Democratic Party needs to wake up and say, we need to have something on our plate for Black men and for Black women and for Black children, rather than to say, what in the world made you go over there? You can either beat the victim, or you can develop a plan that draws them and says, we want you too. And here's our agenda for you. And here's how we're going to expunge your records. And here's how we're going to put together a plan that includes you and not just your sister and not just your wife, because that disparity between women and men is killing our marriages, killing our families, because most educated, intellectual, influent, upwardly mobile African-American women do not want to be married to Joe the plumber. So there's a problem going on in our community and a disconnect, gender-related disconnect that we have to confront. And we can either beat those black men and say, how dare you go over there? Or you can say, let me show you what we have for you over here. And I think the language needs to be in this moment, in the few days we have left, and in the many months we have, regardless to who gets in the White House, black men are looking for somebody to open the door and say, you matter. And no matter who that is, they're going to respond to that. They didn't get that from their fathers. They didn't get that from their relationships. They're not getting it from the employment world. Black men are in a worse crisis than black women. And I think you have to slow down, because these are our sons and these are our daughters. And this is a sign that there is a disconnect between what black women are experiencing and what some black men are experiencing. And they're reacting to it differently because of the disproportionate rates of incarceration and all the things I said before. I have no data. That's just as a pastor talking to black men, walking amongst black men. I have had 30,000 formerly incarcerated inmates to go through my program. I have interacted with them, a 2-year program, leading them to graduation, helping them to get jobs, helping them to get their records expunged. And we're not talking as a family like we should, because we're too angry with black men over the things they did. You cheated on me. You left me. You don't work nowhere. You don't make no real money. We got to change our language to black men, because the more you show out how bad I am, the more I'm going to be open to whoever opens a door for me.
So let me ask you this. Then you just hit on something. You said we got to stop telling them you did this, you did that. So how do you hold them accountable for the women who need to hold their men accountable, but yet still want to love them? How do you do that? You hurt me. How do you say you hurt me, but I still love you? How do you say it?
You have to say it just like that. Like you said to each other, like you forgive each other, like you made mistakes. Black men are not the only ones who made mistakes. Black women forgive themselves for the mistakes they made, the babies they had out of wedlock, the affairs they had with men or with women. They find a way to go on. The same mercy that you give to yourself, give it to your men. And the same mercy that you give to your sons, give it to your fathers and your husbands and your boyfriend. Now, if the guy is crazy and he's nutso and he's dangerous, and get away, run, get away, get the
run,
kids,
Forrest,
run, take the keys, run, Forrest, run. But if there's something salvageable in there, I'm a pastor, so you can depend on me to be merciful. If there's anything salvageable in there, if he doesn't get it from you, he's going to get it from somewhere. And then if somebody else says, we want you, don't be mad when he runs to the light. You can't be darkness and be light. So you can say, I'm mad, you did me wrong, you broke my heart, but you don't get to say that for 10 years. You don't get to say that for 5 years while you forgive yourself for all the mistakes you made.
Can you say it for a year?
4 years and 3 months.
or
you can say anything you want to. You're April Ryan. You can say anything you want, but
I can't. No. I believe in lifting black men up. I had a father, I have a brother, I have friends, male friends, and that's one thing they'll tell you. I will lift them up, because the world, I lift black folks up. I lift everybody up, but I lift black folks up because I understand what it means to be black in this moment and in moments. I mean, I'm a few months from. I was born a few months before Dr. King was killed. My parents talked to me about the civil rights movement. I love us. I love all of us. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think black men are also your sons.
Yes.
And your husband is somebody's son.
Mm-hmm.
Your boyfriend is somebody's son.
Mm-hmm.
As misguided, messed up, crazy, foolish, stupid, ignorant, whatever, he's still somebody's son. And the same way you want somebody to help your son, you want to help them. Somebody said on our line, how long should we be merciful? As long as you need mercy.
Mm.
That's how long you should be merciful. If you have
Right.
gotten so good that you don't need it, then you don't get it. The Bible said, blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. And it's not a one-sided mercy, by the way. It's not a one-sided mercy. It's just that different things matter to different genders. Like oh, it's a big old subject. We shouldn't even get on it. But different things matter to different genders. For you, your cardinal sin. I could go out here and rob 7-Eleven, but don't cheat on you. If I rob 7-Eleven, you'll drive the getaway car. But if I cheat on you, you'll run over me with the car. Okay, I get it. That's a big thing. I understand why. Biblically, I understand it. I really get it. I understand why that's atrocious and painful and hurtful and other things. But when I confided in you and shared my deepest, darkest secrets about what happened in my life or the way my mother was when I grew up, and you got mad and used it against me, for me, that's betrayal too. That's betrayal. Yes. Yes, that's betrayal. Yeah, the Bible said the heart of her husband does safely trust in her, that he has no need of spoil. So we are as guarded about our hearts as you are about your bodies. And you look at body betrayal, we look at heart betrayal. Understanding that is really important, because we will be secretly angry with you. You won't even know what we're angry about. It's because you went and talked to your girlfriend and you told her what?
Wow,
you said
Bishop
what? You betrayed me like that?
Y'all listen to
you
Bishop
told your sister? See, so we need to have these kinds of healing conversations. And yes, we need to hold them accountable, but we don't need to be trying to raise grown men or pastor them.
That's true.
It's just understanding the fact, my wife and I have been married 38, soon to be 39 years. You don't stay together 39 years. People say, you've been happily married for 39 years. Nobody's been happily married for 39 years. You've had good days and bad days. You've had happy days and you've had days you just came home. But we believed in something bigger than ourselves. We believed in our family. We believed in our unit. We believed in our common destiny. We believed in our purpose. And we worked through whatever we had to work through in order to get to where we've gotten to. And it gets easier as you get older. So that helps a lot. But that's where we ended up on a whole different subject. But is that helpful?
No, but this is important. This is all about this moment. We're talking about the breakdown of family. We're talking about what COVID has done, how it's destroyed. We're talking about voting. We've talked about Black men and the vote. This is part of it, and it's important because we got a lot of sisters. I have more women who follow me on this IG Live Covet Conversations than men. And men and women are both saying, preach. We need to hear this. People need to hear in this moment. People are trying to figure out how to dig out of the pain. And
see, one of the important things we established, Black people and white people are not really that different. Both of us have blind spots. And one of the blind spots that we have as Black people in our relationships is, just because you and I live in the same house doesn't mean we're having the same experience.
That's true.
Okay, so you went back to school. Good for you. Maybe I should have. You went back to school. You got your master's. You got your career. You got your job. I'm happy for you. I clap for you. I'm not having the same experience when I go to work that you're having when you go to work. I'm a Black man. White men deal with Black men differently than they do Black women. When they hire you, they get 2 for 1. When they hire me, they get 1 for 1. They get 2 minorities when they hire you. I'm not saying it's been easy. I'm not saying you haven't been discriminated against. I'm not saying you don't have a problem, but you understand your problems better than you understand my problems, because you communicate better than we do. You communicate better than we do. And there's very few people out there articulating the Black experience, but we're still your sons. We're still your nephews. We're still your grandchildren. And if we don't learn how to listen at each other, sharing a house doesn't mean that we're sharing a life. Sharing the bills doesn't mean that we're having a marriage. Sharing a bed doesn't mean that we're having a relationship.
Woo!
Yeah. we,
I'm jumping over the pew.
we have to say, what is it like to be you? And I wish my wife were here because she could say this better than me.
Tell Catwoman to come in. She's welcome.
The core to any lasting relationship is friendship. Don't forget that we are friends.
Oh, Jesus.
And sometimes I need to talk to you as my friend, not my policeman. Not my policeman, because we were friends. We were friends until the titles and the rings and the rice got in the way. We were friends. And we forget how to be each other's friend. My wife has been sick, really, really sick, really, really ill. And I was in the hospital with her, sleeping on the floor by the bed and all that kind of stuff. And whether it was cleaning her up, sitting her up, or feeding her, or her doing the same for me in 39 years, it's gone both ways. Because when the rubber meets the road, I got your back, girl. I mean, really got your back. I mean, wash your back. I mean, I got your back. I got your back. I got your back. I got your back. If everybody walks away, I got your back.
Got your back.
When I had my back surgery, she had my back. That reciprocity of understanding that and being able to facilitate that. Are we perfect? No, neither one of us. Have we gotten on either other's nerves? Absolutely. But man or not, if you throwing up, I got ice pack on your head. If you lose control of yourself, I'll clean you up. Marriage is work. It's business. It's so much more than romance and the novels you read as girls. I'll stop. You got on one of my subjects. You said
Let me tell you something. Look, Angela Stribling says that she's quite men and women are jumping over pews. Let me tell you something, Bishop. You know I love you. You know I love you. Anytime you have a word, it's earth shaking, life altering. And I'm telling you, I got some people I need to call or text and say, look, I'm gonna send this to them and just say, guys, he preached today. And you did. I mean, you gave us an understanding, and it takes someone who's seen and been around and has this unique understanding. And you wrote something in my book for one of my books. You said when the world has a shovel to dig out of, Black America has a spoon.
Right.
You're helping us dig with the shovel with your words tonight. We have a shovel to dig out of whatever this is. And before we leave, my girlfriend who's going through all sorts of stuff.
Can I say one little thing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm gonna try to say this without being emotional.
Uh-oh.
I really love our people. I love all people. I was raised to love all people.
Mm-hmm.
But if there were no you, there would be no me. I was in a storefront in the hills of West Virginia. My father was a janitor. My mother was a school teacher. Nobody knew who T.D. Jakes was. You bought my books. You went to my conferences. You made my life matter. And I absolutely adore you. From my heart.
Get ready.
With all of our flaws and our mistakes and our issues and our problems, and we got plenty, I'm in the family with you. I'm in the family with you. And I am grateful for every kindness that ever came my way from anybody, from any race, from any culture, but particularly from my own people, because you understand how far I had to climb with my spoon. I just had a spoon. And I can't even believe that I got to where I got, because I didn't have anything but a spoon. I raised my kids on WIC and government cheese. And I am here by the grace of God and the kindness of people who helped me. And that's why I will help anybody. I will go the extra mile, because you should give back.
Yes.
You should give back. And I didn't want to miss this opportunity. Something about our conversation made me want to share how I feel as a human being. When people mess up, they always call me. When they get in trouble, they always call me. The reason I always answer is that I had people that I called.
Amen.
And you cannot receive mercy and not give mercy. You cannot do that. That's a robber. You took it and you didn't give it. You have never heard me blast anybody publicly, go out against them publicly. I might call you up and fight you all over the phone and roll around face to face. But to get out there and have a family fight in a public place, I'm just not going to do that. I'm not going to do that, because I realize that you can do something stupid today and get it right tomorrow and still be valuable. We have to start valuing each other. It is not all about other people valuing us. It starts with us valuing each other. And if we value each other, they'll have to respect us. They'll have to respect. And I just wanted to say that. And I want to say thank you. Because in this environment, none of us know for sure that we will see each other again.
Truth.
And to say thank you, that your causes and your need gave my life meaning and purpose and value. I wouldn't exist. I wouldn't have existed. Of course it was God, but beyond God, it was you in the stadiums. It was you in the choir. It was you lined up around Barnes and Noble. I'll never forget it. If it never happens again.
That woman now at loose conference. That woman now at loose conference.
Absolutely.
Woo!
Absolutely. And I'm down for you. Right or wrong, up or down, in or out, sick or well, last rites, whatever it is. I am down for you. Even my enemies, my haters, my detractors. I get it. You don't like me. You don't understand me. You come from a different world. You got a different perspective. I get that. I don't have a problem with that. There were enough people that did, that I made it anyway. So I don't spend energy on trying to convince people who have decided they don't like you. That doesn't matter. I still love you. Amen. And I wanted to get that out. And I know we're coming to a close, and you were going to tell me about your friend, and I want to hear.
But wait a minute, we're coming to a close, but you said something. I love us too. And, when COVID first started, I was going through depression with COVID. I said, no. And this was born out of that, to uplift, how to, and inform. This has been all of that tonight. But I'm going to say this to you. When the death threats came,
I know what that feels like.
Yeah.
I've been there.
When I had to move.
Yeah.
People had my back. And people don't realize what they mean. And I'm with you on that. And when you were talking, I said, they were there with me. I don't have my mom or my daddy. They in heaven. But let me say this. Family means something to me. And I consider us family.
Yes.
I just do. Because we ride or die for each other.
Yes.
I used to say the reason why we have baby showers is because if you don't have it, cousin so-and-so have it, a girlfriend so-and-so have it. That's why we have baby showers and bridal showers, because we get together and help. The community comes together and will raise a person up. But yeah, I thank you too. And I thank you for pouring into me all of these years, for being in my books, for doing interviews with me, just being Bishop Jakes.
Anytime, my sister. Anytime. Whatever I got, God gave it so that I could share it.
Amen.
And anytime at all. There's so much love on this call. I mean, I
Yes.
see hearts going up every place.
Yes.
This is the way our country should be.
Yes.
This is the way our country should be. And we should make what is passing for normal will always exist, but it should be abnormal.
Mm.
Hate should not be normal in America.
It should not.
And I think that we should vote and live in such a way that we send a clear message that hate is not going to be our norm. We will not accept hatred and violence and decadence of all kinds as a normative in our country or any other countries that are on this.
I'm going to say something to you when you were saying hate is not normal. I'm going to call her out, and she doesn't want me to call her out, and I didn't know she was on here, but I saw her name go up. A friend of mine is in Charlottesville, North Carolina. I'm not Charlottesville, North Carolina, Charlottesville, Virginia. Her store was 50 meters from the deadly car accident in Charlottesville, and she's on here thanking you. Her name is Lynn Goldman. And Lynn and her story is she's a friend. She's a jewelry store owner. She's got the greatest jewelry in Charlottesville on Main Street. And she, after that, and Lynn, I'm going to tell it, but thank you for loving me, Lynn. She had to take her sign down because of fear from the people who were hating our Jewish brothers and sisters. And that woman, we met before all of that happened in Charlottesville at a book fair. And we've been friends ever since. And she is the purest heart. And she is on this call, Jewish woman with a black bishop, a Baptist bishop. Just giving, I mean, this is what I'm saying, the love, the exchange of love. And so
yeah, I love you back, sis. I love you back.
And I want to end with this. And I was saying, my girlfriend, she's going through a lot, and sometimes she'll come on my back porch, or I'll sit in her driveway, and we'll stay distant from each other with our masks on, and we'll just cry to one another. But she said, you got to tell the story of the giraffe and the turtle. I want to end with that.
In my book Instincts, I wrote this. It went around the world. I was in South Africa, and by the way, shout out to all of Africa. I love you and all the.
They're on here tonight. London,
I love them. They know I love them. They know I love them. I wear their clothes. I got their art all over my house from different parts: South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, Congo. All the places I have ever been, Zimbabwe, Tanzania, all of you. I shout out to all of you. I love you. I can't call all your names. I don't have no time, but I love all of you. Okay. You gave me roots. You gave me history. You answered my questions. I appreciate you. To my Jewish brothers and sisters, I love them. One of my best friends is in South America. I've traveled back and forth to Israel over and over again. I have a great appreciation for diversity. My social media database is global. I have more people out of the country than I do in the country, from all over the world, because my arms have been stretched very wide. I would say to your friend who you talk to across the porch, I do not know the details of what you're going through. I don't profess to have your answers. But I do know that the only way to get to your answers is not to quit. And I would say to you to hold on in the middle of the storm and the winds and the waves and the uncertainty and the loss of normal and the anxiety about what's next. That if you dig your anchors down really deep and hold on and withstand this storm, that I'm 63 years old, and even up under hurricanes and Katrina and disasters and plagues, I've never seen a storm yet that didn't pass over. Not yet. In 63 years, I've never seen one. I've seen them sit a long time and do a lot of damage, but I've never seen one that didn't pass over. And if you can find something and hold on to it and grip it with all of your might, glory. Excuse me, I'm having a moment. I feel like I'm in the pulpit. But if you can hold on to it with all of your might, when the wind stops and the lightning stops and the rain stops, you'll still be standing. And I'm praying for you. I'm in covenant with Abraham, my sister. I love her. We're praying for you, and you matter. And that is duplicated for every person on this call that's in a storm. All we got is us. We got God, we got us. All we got is us. We must hold each other together.
That's right.
Until we get through this dilemma, until the storm is past. And then we got to celebrate. We got to get out in the street and turn up the music and celebrate the goodness of God that allowed us to be a survivor and not a statistic. God bless you.
So, and you know, my daughter's birthday is November 3rd. She turns 13, my youngest.
Oh, wow.
I know.
God help you. That's enough reason to need prayer all by itself.
I know. So is there any kind of way that you can just give us a synopsis of the giraffe and the turtle story, and then I'm going to let you go. So you
Yes. I got distracted. I forgot it.
Yeah.
I'm in South Africa. I'm on a safari. The first time I've ever been on a safari in my life. And I'm seeing, you know, all the amazing things out on the safari with my son. And I wrote it in my book, Instincts. And it really, I'll just short tell it to this. A giraffe is standing there in the same place with a turtle under its legs. They're in the same space, but they don't have the same view. The giraffe's neck is 9 feet long, and he eats from the top of the trees. The turtle is so small that he can barely see the top of the grass, and yet they're in the same space. And the giraffe and the turtle taught me that sometimes turtles are going to say things about giraffes that are based on their view. And I have to be willing to put up with it because the turtle is not lying. He's just telling me what it looks like from where he is. And I cannot afford to lower my head down to get into a fight with the turtle because the giraffe's heart, 25-pound heart, is designed so that if he drops his head too low, it will cause his heart to stop beating. So to all of the giraffes who have been blessed to eat from the top of the trees, don't let the report of the turtles destroy your perspective. And to all the turtles who are down in the grass, you're just telling us what you see from where you're at.
With that said, Bishop, I thank you. What do you have? When can we go on your church service? We need to how do we connect?
Sunday mornings at 9:00. I'm streaming live on YouTube. I have my own YouTube channel. I'm reaching my church through YouTube channel. You can download my app if you want to do it that way. And then you'll get notifications. If you click on notification, we'll notify you when it's church time. You can have praise in your pajamas. We have people from all over the world. And so that's Central Standard Time, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. You're welcome to go to all the services. Ladies, to all the ladies out there, When Women Pray is on the shelf everywhere. And if you want to get it and make it a devotional, read a chapter or half a chapter and pray over it. Next day, read a half a chapter and pray over it. And it'll guide you through the turmoil of where we are right now. The book is called When Women Pray. But that's not what I'm on here about. And that's not what I'm online about. I'm not worried about that at all.
But we have to support you. We have to support you.
I had the best time in the world talking to my sister on this phone in a pandemic, thousands of miles apart, sniffling and crying and preaching and praying and thinking and philosophizing. Because we can, and we're not just scared. God bless you. I love you.
Bishop T.D. Jakes, you're such a blessing. You've always been a blessing, and I thank you so much. And tell First Lady Jakes, thank you for sharing you with us for this hour in Psalm. It's been earth-shaking. It's been educational, and it's been inspirational, and it's been informative, and it's been tear-jerking, and it's going to be on my IGTV. It's going to be up. So I'm telling you, people, I got a feeling it's going to be one of the biggest ones. So, I mean, people are just losing it over this. And I thank you. People from all across the country, all around the world, thank you for joining us. This is the great Bishop T.D. Jakes, and he already voted. Make sure you vote, guys. If you have not voted, it's too late to go to the post office. Get your ballot. Do it in person, either at the Board of Election Supervisors office or at the polls. It's too late to use the postal service, guys. Seriously, make your vote count. Bishop Jakes, I love you. Thank you.
Love you too. Have a good one.
Be
Bye-bye.
well. Bye-bye. Peace, guys.